Have you ever noticed that sometimes the more we think and plan about something important in the future, the more stressed and anxious we become about it? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why and how to stop it happening. My name's Matt. I'm a qualified psychotherapist and meditation teacher, and I help people get their minds working for them rather than against them. And I'm going to show you how in this video. Why do we get more anxious when we're planning and thinking about something in the future? Well, that's because the survival mind, our evolutionary programming, craves certainty. And when it's thinking about something important in the future for us, it's trying to give us every single worst case scenario in order for us to be prepared and get that certainty. And you must have had that experience when you're thinking about something in the future. Very often you're thinking about it negatively. You're not playing great scenes in your head about you achieving well. You're usually playing scenes about you failing or having problems and how you're going to solve those. And the brain will keep doing this. The survival mind will keep doing this. It will keep projecting into the future, putting you in that mental time machine and giving you every single worst case scenario so that you can plan and get ready for it. Now, of course, the problem with this is that some of these scenarios will never happen. And if we're thinking about them all the time, we're going to get in our stress response. The brain very often doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. And so when we're thinking about the future negatively, the body reacts as though we're in those situations. We will get a spike in cortisol and adrenaline. We will be running all those stress hormones through our body as we think about each thing that could go wrong in the future. So we need to stop that, A, because it's going to be very bad for our health, and B, it's also going to affect our performance, because if our mind is flooded with negativity about the future, that when we actually go to perform, we're going to have a negative attachment to that performance, and we're going to perform probably less well than if we imagine something good happening. Now, another reason thinking and over planning about things in the future makes us anxious is it makes us resistant to change and spontaneity. If you think about it, if we put expectations on the future, if we want the future to go a particular way and we think about that all the time and we try and make that happen to the nth degree, what it does is when something changes or we feel that it's not going exactly how we planned, again, we get very anxious. The nervous system triggers and panics. The body goes into fight or flight mode as it tries to work out what to do. Now, all those expectations and all the weight of those expectations just crumbles in front of us. Change becomes terrifying. And as we're going in to perform or do whatever we've been planning, any variation on what we've imagined makes the brain and the survival mechanism very, very scared and panicky. And so if we're not able to adapt in the moment because we put so much weight on the future by thinking and planning it all the time, then we're going to perform worse and we're going to put a lot of strain on us as we do that. Another reason we need to limit the amount of control and thinking we put on things in the future that are important to us is that overthinking, over-planning about the future limits possibility. It makes the opportunity for things to happen in the moment that we didn't expect and can actually make things better harder to see, harder to notice, and harder to react to. If you think about it, we can only ever plan and envisage a future on data that's already happened to us. We can only plan a future based on things that we know now, experiences that we've already had, expectations that we have now about what is good for us. However, when we move into the future with a little bit more flexibility and with a little bit more surrender, i.e. letting go of all expectations, not putting too much expectation on one outcome, it allows us to be open and receive things from life and the moment that we weren't expecting and we couldn't even imagine. You must have had that experience where you've bumped into somebody that you weren't expecting to bump into, or you've been able to come up with an answer in the moment that was much better than you ever imagined or planned for, or an opportunity has arisen that you weren't expecting and noticed in the moment because you were relaxed. This is about being connected to the present and allowing the present to give us things that we weren't thinking about. If we focus down and put too much expectation on one direction of travel, we will miss things and we won't be open to life throwing us something that may be better than we could ever imagine in the past. So how do we stop ourselves from planning and overthinking too much and allowing some space for spontaneity and creativity? So here's a simple technique that I want you to try next time you're thinking or over planning, or you're feeling overwhelmed by trying to control everything that's going to happen in the future, or you're putting too much expectation on something important that you have to do. I want you to sit down and breathe and give yourself some stillness, and then ask yourself, how much time do you really need to plan for this thing? Chances are you know the answer, whether that's a couple of hours, a few days, even a week or a month. But you know what you have to plan, and you know how much time you're going to need to do that. And then write yourself out a schedule for that, whatever that is, and then complete the schedule. And every time you have completed the schedule or the amount of planning that you need to do for that thing, let go. When you're not planning, when you're not sat down and actually planning for that thing, you let go of all thinking about that thing. Now that will seem quite terrifying to the survival mind, and usually the way that we've been taught about thinking, which is that if something is important in the future, we need to be thinking about it all the time, and that is just not true. We devote time to thinking about it in the day or the week or the month or whatever it is. Okay, and then once we finish that planning and we finish that time where we've devoted thinking to that thing in the future, we let go of it. What's also important is that we don't ascribe too much time to thinking and planning, that we leave time to be able to let go and allow for flexibility and adaptability in the moment. Trying to say to yourself that you don't want to be the sort of person who controls everything. I want to be the person who can adapt to anything that happens to me in the moment. Thinking about it this way, allowing yourself just enough planning to alleviate uncertainty and make sure you're prepared, but then also giving yourself space to be able to be adaptable and just switching that perspective. Saying this to yourself over and over again, after you've given yourself that amount of time to plan, every time the mind goes on to that thinking, tries to overthink about what it has to do, just coming back with that statement, I don't need to control everything. I want to be able to be the person who adapts in the moment to whatever happens. Keep saying that to yourself, reinforcing that every time the survival mind wants complete certainty. And this will allow the survival mind to become calmer and more confident, and also allow you, as you step out of that thinking and over planning, to connect to the moment where everything happens and where we can sometimes get just what we need if we're open to it.